Hi everyone and welcome back to my booktube channel, Lisa in Bookland. This is a bit of a weird introduction because I seem to have somehow accidentally deleted my original introduction. This is a vlog of my recent trip to Britain from mid to end of November. I was there for, I think it was like 10 nights in the end, so yeah, I got good value out of it. I obviously started off in Wales. You take the ferry from Dublin to Holyhead. I spent a night in Wales. I visited Carnarvon Castle, and then I drove across to England, stopping off at Stoke-on-Trent to go to the Wedgwood factory, and yes, spent 4 nights in Matlock in the Peak District, which you'll see some of, and also 4 nights then in Yorkshire, in Bronte country, which is very exciting. So yes, over to past me, and yeah, I hope you enjoy the vlog. So maybe the great thing and the bad thing about bringing the car is I can bring as many books as I want, which, you know, can be a curse sometimes, because I suppose when normally if you have a holiday you just have to get through the stack of books you have, or else I suppose Kindle is a different story. But I do love having the car that I can bring physical books, because I do prefer them, especially in this nature of holiday when it's winter, and I think I probably will be spending a good bit of time inside reading. So yes, just a quick idea of the things I'm bringing. I won't go through all of them in detail because yeah, I just don't know how much I'll get through, but I was looking and like thinking about how I wanted to start off and kind of get myself in the holiday spirit. I do just want kind of I don't know, a read that really took me away from things, and Patrick O'Brien, I haven't read him for I'd say a year and a half, and yeah, I read the Mauritius Command a while ago, so yeah, I just think Desolation Island, I find them you know, quick enough reads. They really just put me in a good mood and make me forget about real life, which is what you want when you're going on holidays. So that's what I'll be bringing. A newer book that I've been really excited to read, and worn People's History of Clothing, a topic I am really interested in. This is one I definitely will read. Books that I really have to read going where I'm going. So the major absentee for this list at the moment is Pride and Prejudice, because I think I'm going to finally listen to the audiobook that everybody loves for Pride and Prejudice. So yes, really looking forward to that, and I think it'll be a lovely listen for the good amount of driving that I will be doing. Finally, this one, Georgiana, Duchess of Devonshire, the Amanda Foreman biography. Such an interesting character, and obviously famously associated with Chatsworth House when she lived there when she was married. And the introduction to this made me laugh so much. Any other history lovers, tell me in the comments, do you think there is any link between liking history and not being good at driving? Because she says, as Georgiana's letters are scattered all around the country, I planned to be on the road for 18 months and set off in the summer of 1994. Having finally passed my driving test on the 7th attempt, my fears about starting a new project were subsumed by the act of driving on the motorway for the first time. I didn't have to try my driving test 7 times, but I did do it 3 times. But like her, as soon as I passed my driving test, I'm like, I can go and see Jane Austen's house now. Irish Ferries, Google. So yes, that's obviously the only reason why we drive, is to go and see historic sites, right? So yeah, that is my very quick whiz through reading plans. I can't promise that I won't add anything else in the week before I go, but hopefully that would be it, or that hopefully I won't pick up too many books when I'm over there. So yeah, we'll see, and by the time you're watching this vlog you'll be able to see what I actually did read. So I actually cut out a good portion of that clip, because obviously, as you can see from this bag, the number of books I brought far exceeded what I would ever be able to read. So yeah, I'd cut out some of it just to make it less dull. I did actually end up bringing and reading Study for Obedience as well, because it was nominated for the Booker and I wanted to read it before that. And spoiler, I'll actually be reading another Booker Prize book in this video, which I didn't know at this time, but I'll tell you about it when it comes. It's a very important preparation work here.
You'd be welcome to accompany us.
The Peak District is not Brighton, and officers are very thin on the ground.
Not an issue.
Come to the Peak District with us, Lizzie, and get some fresh air.
Why not?
Nature. What are men compared to rocks and mountains?
Hello and welcome to Dublin Port. Finally, I'm finished work. Well, I have a little bit to tidy up on board on the way over, but not too much. And I'm off on my holidays. So I passed my exams, which is absolutely brilliant and a great start to the holiday. So after that, I did a nice few hours in Dublin, and I also started reading the Desolation Island, the Patrick O'Brien. I'm about 50 pages in, and I'm absolutely loving it so much. It's, again, like the Sharpe books, it's just like returning home, and and it's really put me in the holiday spirit, let's say. I forgot how slow they move. Like, it's 50 pages in and we're still not on a ship. Jack, and what is painfully obvious to the reader, is falling into another financial scheme. He's just hopeless on land, but he has been offered the command of a vessel, a convict vessel, to go to Australia. So yes, I can't remember how much I liked this book or not, but I'm absolutely loving it so far. Patrick O'Brien's writing is beautiful. So I haven't started listening to Pride and Prejudice or anything yet, but that'll probably be the drive tomorrow morning. It's 10 to 8 now, so we'll probably be boarding soon, and yeah, really looking forward to heading off and getting some rest and relaxation and a lot more reading in, hopefully. And this is our ship, which is appropriately called the Ulysses. So yes, will I ever finish Ulysses? Who knows, but yeah, I've been on it before. It's a very nice ship. This is quite eerie, but look at this. I was wondering what the weird sounds were. It's a pigeon that's echoing. Spooky. Stop number 1 is Carnarvon Castle in Wales. So yeah, it was really cool to see inside. I spent ages going up on the walls, and yeah, my legs definitely got a workout. I would highly recommend. The history of Wales is so interesting, and I only really know the bare outlines. So yeah, it was delighted to see that. Well, it's now Saturday morning, and hello from Matlock. I finally got here. I did take kind of a winding journey across the way, but that was really nice to take my time as well. However, I did do a lot of driving, so today I'm going to go to Hardick Hall, and I think that there is lovely walks around a nice 9-kilometre one or something, so definitely need to stretch the legs a little bit. I'm almost finished Patrick O'Brien, Desolation Island. Absolutely really enjoying it. I forgot that there was an absolutely fabulous storm, and this one, fabulous storm, sounds strange but very dramatic. All hands to the pumps, people getting drunk, that kind of thing. I'm just really enjoying it. I've only a chapter left. I probably will finish off today, and when I was driving yesterday I started listening to Pride and Prejudice. It's just wonderful. I've never listened to the famous, on BookTube at least, Rosamund Pike audiobook, but it really is really wonderful. I'm really enjoying it. Yeah, there's not much more I can say about Pride and Prejudice really. I'd say this is I don't know, my 6th or 7th reread, so yeah, really enjoying it. And the other thing that I've just started, because I'm hoping to go to Chatsworth on Monday, is Georgiana, Duchess of Devonshire. So yes, like I've only read the first chapter, and what surprised me is like how expedited it is. I don't know if it's, maybe there isn't an awful lot of information available about her childhood, even though that seems unlikely. The end of the first chapter and she's already married, but already she seems like such a fascinating character. Definitely Amanda Foreman is kind of taking the position, and maybe I'm not a scholar. She was indulged a lot in her childhood, and she was really eager to get approval from everybody. Is very people pleaser, as we'd call it, to some extent, I suppose, only to people she really cared about, like her parents, but that would have had made her really susceptible to manipulation when she was older. So yeah, I think I'm really going to enjoy this book, and I'm really enjoying the style that's written in so far, so I'll check in later. It is quite misty looking at the minute, but I don't think it's supposed to rain at least much today after the morning, so perfect weather. Nice bookshop, lots of different levels. You could spend all day in there, but I'd better go before my car is clamped. I said I'd take this opportunity of filming a little update. I have been making good progress through Georgiana, the Duchess of Devonshire. I'm really enjoying it. It's a brilliant biography, and every time I read biographies I forget how wonderful they are. I'm out for a walk now from Bakewell to Chatsworth. I just love how, like, this is one of the things I love over here, how open like all the public walkways are. You can walk through these fields. It's so beautiful and quiet, no cars, and yeah, there's just such freedom. The reason I'm doing this is, unfortunately, I forget that I live in the 21st century and I didn't book entry to Chatsworth. I tried to do it last night and they're booked up for a whole week in advance and more, according to the lady at the gate. I had to try and get in. I got a ticket for the gardens, but unfortunately I won't get into the house, which I'm not gonna lie is a bit disappointing, but sure, I'll get over again and I will see the outside of Chatsworth later and I'll see the gardens in night and the lights there tomorrow. So sure, what can you do? That's my own bad planning. But yes, I am listening to Pride and Prejudice and I'm absolutely loving it. There's just been like the second proposal in the book. I don't want to spoil anything, and yeah, it's just such a wonderful read to read around here, and I'm sure we'll get to the Derbyshire bit soon enough and it'll just be magical to be listening to it here. And final update is I was supposed to be leaving on Tuesday night, Wednesday morning, but I just decided to extend my stay. I'm only an hour and a half from the Bronte Parsonage. It seems silly to go on a separate trip again when I'm so close, so I extended out my ferry until Saturday night. So yeah, it just made sense, and I had booked off until Tuesday anyways, so very much looking forward to that. I'm just loving the walking I'm doing here. I don't go for nearly enough walks at home because I'm so busy, and yeah, whenever I go on holidays like this, it reminds me that I really need to get out more. So yes, I will check in again shortly, hopefully. If I make it back to Pemberley in time to dress for dinner. If only. Seeing it from the outside is probably what I most wanted anyways. Like, I mean, we'll say that, but it is extremely beautiful. They're just at Lambton they've decided to visit Pemberley, which I've just left, and Lambton is supposed to be based on Bakewell, which I'm heading to, so I'm doing it in reverse. This is so fun. Mrs. Gardner is fatigued at walking, and I have to say I am feeling quite like Mrs. Gardner now. Very much looking forward to my dinner. Hardly needed it, it's almost dark, but it's too tempting. Being a damned Irish rebel, I have escaped from where I'm supposed to be. I live in the gardens. They're very nice that I can see in the dark. The top of the cascade. Listen to what just came on the radio. How perfect. Sorry you can't see me, but somewhere between, I don't know, Sheffield and Leeds. So hello from Bradford. I arrived, it's up north in Yorkshire. I think I'm only about like half an hour away from the Bronte Parsonage. I got a great deal here for the next 4 nights, and yes, I had a lovely time at Chatsworth. The lights were lovely and all. I still would have much rather see the gardens in the day, and I would have liked to see the inside of the house, but you know, it was really Christmassy. It is late enough in November now, I think I'm okay to feel a little bit Christmassy. The markets were lovely and to look around. I didn't really buy much in the markets. I did buy a nice mug in the actual gift shop in Chatsworth, as well as 2 Christmas decorations, then 2 not Christmas decorations. When I went to Chawton in 2019, I bought these of Anne Elliot and Captain Wentworth, and I was always sorry I didn't buy more, so I was delighted that they had the Mr. Darcy and Elizabeth ones. So yeah, I put these up all year round. I don't really care if they're for Christmas. But yes, I was really enjoying the radio on the way up, so I didn't listen to any more in Pride and Prejudice, even though I only have like I think an hour left and things are definitely tying up. Yeah, I'm just loving it. Like every time, like everybody says this about Jane Austen, but every time you listen to it, you like notice something different. This time I focused in on like Elizabeth's calculating, like maybe that's a harsh word, but she definitely is thinking a lot about her options later in the book, and yeah, like the way things are working out for her. So I'm finding that really interesting, and yeah, I just love Pride and Prejudice. It's been a delight to listen to it again. I've never listened to an audiobook before, I've always read it. So yeah, it was different this time. So yes, I'm going to relax now, take a bath. I am hoping what is it? It's 20 to 9, so I am hoping to do a good bit of reading yet this tonight. What I would really like to do, even though I'm really enjoying it, I would like to finish this book, Georgiana, Duchess of Devonshire. I'm enjoying it so much, but I think I haven't done as much reading this holiday as I'd have hoped, which it's great because I've been out and walking, but yeah, I feel like this book has taken me ages to get through, even though I am really enjoying it. What's really striking me is just, you know, her gambling addiction, and I think it's something that a modern reader can relate to so much. It's really harrowing, the way she's trying to hide it or like make up her losses. It's just yeah, it's truly distressing stuff, but yeah, no, brilliant biography. So I'm going to read a bit more of that, but then the book I'm hoping to start as well tonight or tomorrow morning is this, A Study for Obedience by Sarah Bernstein, because it's shortlisted for the Booker, and I know that's going to be announced soon, so I'd like to read it before that. So I'll have read 2 books on the Booker list, well, one on the long list, one on the short list. And also because it's nice and short, just after reading such a long book, this biography, that I'd like to get a short book under my belt. This is only 150 pages, very big text, so yeah, and I'm just, yeah, I think it'll be nice. It's kind of set in kind of a rural farm as well, so it's fit in well with the setting I've just left. I don't really have my plans settled really for what I'm going to do here. I don't even know what day I'm going to visit the Bronte Parsonage, but I don't think tomorrow. I think tomorrow potentially would be quite a lazy day for me, we'll see, while doing some Bronte related walks maybe. So hopefully I'll get to the Bronte Parsonage Wednesday or Thursday, and this time I will check to make sure that there are not loads of Bronte fans that are all booked out at Christmas like happened with Chatsworth, but yes, hopefully not. I actually did see on the way up like signs for loads of museums that I would like to visit, like more industrial type museums, so yeah, I need to make a list of those and see which ones I can actually get to. And yeah, like I'm sure I will be busy right up till Saturday night before I go home, so but I can't put up the fire anymore because I do need to go back to work. But yeah, very glad to have these extra few days, and hopefully I'll check in a bit more this time. So we've just got to 1798, and I was wondering if this would come up because the Devonshires did and still do own lots of land in Ireland. Yeah, as much as I enjoy these biographies, it always is obviously a little bit of apprehension there. It'd be such a pity to read a whole book about a person and them to have to be cross of them at the end. I'm happy to say that is not the case in Georgiana's case. This is their own words. In the indiscriminate manner in which our troops have burned villages, etc., how many innocent must perish? And though it is very well for those who have no lands in Ireland to talk big and say that extermination is the only means, we who receive the produce of the labour of the Irish, and whose tenants, who call the Duke of Devonshire their father, must feel that this mode of conquest is but a bad decision. The rebels are a bloody, cruel set, but that is no example for us, and if it is possible to keep some right by mercy in coaxing, how far better. And she actually just kept prodding her husband, the Duke of Devonshire, to make a speech about it in Parliament, which he eventually did, even if not as well as she would have done so. So yeah, I just really love her for that. Well, that blew the cobwebs off for sure. I was walking for nearly 4 hours, so yeah, feeling very refreshed. It did get like windy, but I'm always very conscious of my own safety when I'm walking alone, and I said I could turn back, you know, if I ever felt like it was too bad, and it was actually fine. It was just really up at Top Within that it was the worst. But yeah, I didn't actually end up listening to anything. I was just enjoying the wind across the moors. It was very atmospheric. Definitely, like, yeah, I think it will add so much to my next reading of especially like Wuthering Heights and Jane Eyre. So yeah, very much enjoyed that. I did finish Georgiana, Duchess of Devonshire this morning. Yeah, really enjoyed that book. I thought it was fabulous. Like, she really just had such a big impact on political life and everything, and like had a relatively happy ending, I think. For all that, you know, obviously all biographies of historical figures end in a death. I think I'm really curious to see the film now, because yeah, like her and the Duke of Devonshire obviously had such a complex relationship with like many ups and downs, but yeah, like he still seemed sad when she died. I am ready now for an evening of reading. I am going to read that book I was talking about yesterday that the name escapes me, and I think I'll also start another book, but I haven't completely made up my mind which one. I was looking at the bag of books I have in the back of the car. I don't know what I was thinking, bringing so many books. Like, how long did I think I was going to be gone? A month? But yeah, at least I have loads of choice. Well, hello again. It's now Friday at evening, and it's my last day here of my holiday, unfortunately. This time tomorrow night I'll be queuing up at the ferry to go back home, which, you know, all good things must come to an end. But today I actually ended up just going for another walk on the moors, which I've been just really enjoying. I went to Ilkley Moor this time and spent 3 or 4 hours stomping around there. It was actually the most beautiful, if really cold, day, so yeah, I really enjoyed that. So I did end up listening to an audiobook this time, even though I actually was reminded that my book club is next Wednesday and I hadn't read the book yet. So the book is Prophet Song by Paul Lynch, one of the books that's shortlisted for the Booker Prize by an Irish author, and I started listening to an audiobook. I'm about 2 hours in, and I'm really intrigued by it. It's such an unusual book. So it's set in like present day Ireland, but like that there's kind of a fascist party coming to power. The main character's husband is like a lead person in the teachers trade union, and that's how we kind of start to be affected by this party, is that these two members of this special branch of the Gardaí, the police force, come looking for him at his house in relation to his trade union activities, and things just go on from there, and like kind of the world is getting more and more restricted and strange. And yeah, it's a very disturbing book actually, but I am enjoying it, if enjoy is the word. It is a bit weird to be reading it now, like not too much in common, but I suppose we just don't see these kind of things in Ireland too often. There was rioting in Dublin last night, and yeah, I'm not over the same issues over racism, unfortunately, but yeah, it did feel a bit strange reading about like troubled times in Ireland in fiction as well, when they were also in real life. But yeah, so I expect I'll continue listening to that on my drive to Holyhead tomorrow. I actually also finished 2 books since I talked to you last. So the first was Study for Obedience by Sarah Bernstein. I read this yesterday and this morning. Yeah, like I don't have too much to say about it really. Like, I enjoyed it, but like nothing really happens in it. Like, it is beautifully written in that, but there were a lot of things that were unclear about it, and that's probably like the point. Like, the narrator doesn't have a name, that's fine. She's left her job in a city to go and live with her brother, and is kind of housekeeper and carer. Like, even though he's not disabled or anything, he just, I don't know, likes people looking after him in every possible way. His wife has just left him, so she's stepping into that role, but she doesn't speak the language in this place, and there is a lot of mentions of kind of stuff in the past. So this is where her ancestors actually came from, but at some point they moved away and now she's moving back. Her brother is integrated very well, but she hasn't, and she doesn't speak the language at all despite trying, so the villagers are very distrustful of her. And it was just a strange little book, but yeah, it's probably one of those books that if it was set in like a city setting I wouldn't have been interested in at all, but I did enjoy the kind of village agricultural type setting. The other book I just finished there literally was this one, The Vanished Bride by Bella Ellis. I really enjoyed this. Like, I just bought this at the Bronte Parsonage and when I visited there, and they stamp on the inside, which is really nice. The books I bought there are the only books I've ever gotten a place that's done stamps before. And more places should do that, honestly. I usually write in myself where I bought the book, but it's way nicer if it's stamped for you. So this is a murder mystery where the three Brontë sisters, and to some extent Branwell, but he's not very useful, end up trying to solve in the limited capacity that they can of their time. And yeah, it is really interesting that there really was like a gap in the market for like a detective at the time, because this is when they just anybody that's read that book about the Suspicions of Mr. Witcher, like that was when the detective force were just formed, whereas like the Brontes, I suppose, learn about the happening in London and they're like, oh, this should be everywhere, this sounds like a good idea, we're smarter than the local constabulary that they have here, which they definitely were. So I really liked the way they banded together. It's the first in a series. I saw the rest of the books in the series on sale in the shop as well, but I only bought the first one just to see how I liked it. But yeah, I loved the dynamic between them all. Also the other characters that I can imagine will be recurring, like a boy from the inn who's just started kind of being sent to a school, and Tabitha, like obviously she was the Bronte's real servant, but I imagine they'll be coming up as well. And yeah, really enjoyed it. So definitely will be reading more from this series, which is probably a good time to talk about my visit to the Bronte Parsonage. I showed you some footage. I really enjoyed it. Like the parsonage rooms, what really struck me is like how small they are. Like, they obviously weren't very well to do, and especially like the dining room where the table where they wrote their books, but that they were supposed to have like walked around to talk over their stories. Like there is not much room in that room to walk around, something that's actually referenced in this book when they're walking around and Emily just stops, and I think it's Charlotte is like, Emily, you can't just stop, there's no room in there for this, and there really isn't. And yeah, just like the kitchen, you can imagine them working there. Bedroom that like Branwell was being looked after in, and Branwell's bedroom, they kind of recreated it with like did loads of different rubbish just like to try and recreate what his mind was like, which I thought was really brilliant. But also I think one of the things that caught me most oddly was like the samplers. That each of the girls had done a sampler, and maybe because I like embroidery myself, I just found it interesting to look at them, and they were so young. Like one of them, I can't remember which, had finished it by the time they were 6. Like imagine a 6-year-old doing that level of like needlecraft. But yeah, and they were, I suppose, faded, and the ones that particularly struck me were Maria and Elizabeth's ones. Like it just something, because there's nothing else left behind from them, I suppose. It's just so sad looking at those lined up with all the others. And yes, obviously I looked around. Haworth is a lovely little town, really, just, and you actually can imagine, like obviously it's grown a lot since the time the Brontes lived there, but you can imagine to some extent them walking around it. And the church, obviously, and a lovely little church. It's been rebuilt since the Brontes were there, so you can just see like it's written on the pillar that the family vault is underneath that pillar, but like the original memorial isn't there, but apparently that's where their like family pew was. So it was really nice to visit. I definitely like to go back again. I'd highly recommend the walk on the moors I did. I'm not very fit at all. I did find it slightly challenging but manageable. So yeah, I'll leave the link to the walk I did down below, because it really added so much to my experience, I think. Yeah, I've had a really lovely literary trip. One thing I did think of doing on the way back to Holyhead tomorrow was to visit Elizabeth Gaskell's house in Manchester, which I really would have liked to do as well, but quite apart from the fact that I don't really fancy driving into Manchester, it's actually closed tomorrow, so oh well, I should have planned my visit better, I guess. But yeah, sure, it's easy enough to get to Manchester on public transport. This trip I really wanted to focus on things that were harder to get to on public transport while I had my car. I do think I am going to go to the Bradford Industrial Museum tomorrow, see how we get on for the rest of the day. So now sadly I'm at the ferry port at Holyhead waiting to get on the ferry. So yeah, this is the closeout clip of this vlog. I just saw the film Napoleon, which I think I mostly liked. I suppose I was expecting it more to be like a documentary of the Napoleonic Wars, and it was really filmed about the relationship between Napoleon and Josephine, which is it was really good as well. But yeah, maybe not what I was expecting. But oh my god, the funniest reuse of music ever, like that I think it's called Dawn, that piece from the 2005 Pride and Prejudice. Isn't it so funny that I had a clip of that earlier on in this vlog that was used in two different scenes in the film, which I just thought was hilarious. It was very distracting. And they also reused some music from the BBC War and Peace. So yeah, it's weird for such like a film that appears to be so big budget that they reused music like that, but it was fine. I do hope that maybe it seems to be quite popular, so maybe it'll resurrect interest in films about the Napoleonic Wars, and maybe we'll get a Master and Commander sequel or something. That would be wonderful, but that's probably too much to hope for. But yes, I have only like 2 hours left of Prophet Song. I'm really enjoying it. It's getting really serious, and yeah, I don't know if enjoying is the right word. It's quite haunting and disturbing, but yeah, really great book, and I think we'll get great discussion out at the book club. What I've also been reading is another non-fiction that I have been absolutely tearing through is this Worn by Sofi Thanhauser, A People's History of Clothing, and I'm absolutely loving it. Like, there's several different sections, each of which are dedicated to a different fabric. I've finished linen and cotton, and now I'm just into silk, and it really is what it says on the tin. It's like a people's history. So the author has gone around and she goes into the history of the production of these fabrics, but also it goes to see how the fabrics are produced in the current day and age. And yeah, it's just really interesting. The bit on cotton in particular was fascinating. Like, I mean, I knew that it was really water intensive, but just to read the facts and like the impact that cotton production has had on some areas is absolutely shocking. And obviously it goes into the history of slavery and things, and now I'm in the silk section, as I said, and just the like way that all of these fabrics have moved from being really skilled work obviously in cotton industries in the past into like becoming so industrialized and mass produced, and also like the impact it has on the workers, obviously on pay, but also like the role of women in the work. It's just an absolutely fascinating book. It has been pretty depressing so far, and I expect it will only get worse when we get into the synthetic fabrics. I hope she does have some kind of positive statement at the end or some hope, but I must say it's quite bleak at the moment, but I feel like this will be one of my books of the year. I'm absolutely loving it. So yes, so my plans are, it is after 1 o'clock in the morning, so I do have a cabin booked for the crossing, but on the way home from Dublin, then the other side, I think I'm going to finish listening to Prophet Song. And yeah, thanks so much for watching this vlog. I know it's been a bit bitty. I do feel so much more refreshed after this holiday. It was badly needed. I could have gone more further afield, of course, to maybe somewhere that was a bit warmer. It has gotten very cold, but yeah, this will just let me organise a holiday with the minimum of organisation or stress required. And yeah, it was just absolutely lovely, and I'm sure it won't be my last time over here. Like I was very disappointed not to see Chatsworth, so maybe that will happen someday. But anyways, yeah, let me know if you have been to any of these places, or especially let me know if there was any places in the north of England, especially like literature related, that I should see and I haven't seen, because yeah, it is kind of handier to get here really from Holyhead than to places more further down south, at least in the car. So yeah, I'd be interested to know. So yeah, thanks for listening, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next Thursday for my next video.